Good day, everyone. This is Pinay Jurist on YouTube, sharing with you in Taglish my personal experience in transacting the settling of my grandmother's estate taxes under the Estate Tax Amnesty Act or Republic Act number 11213 from start to finish. I accomplished everything on the 14th of June 2023, the last day of the effectivity thereof, before it was recently extended again to take effect until June 14, 2025. I highly suggest for everyone to take advantage of this program of the government. This is a way for you to transfer title as well of the property of your deceased loved ones and to settle estate taxes obligations without the penalties. In general, estate tax liabilities is required to be settled within 1 year mula sa araw ng pagkamatay na ating mahal sa buhay. Kung hindi ito mababayaran, may kaukulang multa ang mga tagapagmana kada taon na lumipas na hindi pa rin mababayaran ang estate tax. Hindi rin maaring mailipat sa pangalan ng mga tagapagmana ang mga ari-arian ng namatay hanggat hindi pa bayad ang estate tax. Ito po ay ilan sa mga advantages kung kayo ay mag-avail ng estate tax amnesty. So, estate tax liabilities are now more affordable because the government now waives the requirement for the payment of penalties sa mga hindi agad makabayad ng estate taxes. And another advantage is estate tax amnesty allows payment by installment of estate taxes due within 2 years from the supposed date kung kailan siya dapat bayaran. At ito po ay walang penalty or interest. On the part of the government, this is also a measure to collect more taxes or revenues to defray the expenses of the national government because taxation is the lifeblood of the government. With these advantages, I highly suggest that everyone whose situation applies should avail of the estate tax amnesty. I will be sharing with you my personal experience, so it's a personal account of what I had to do and what process I went through in order to accomplish and finally be able to pay the estate taxes of my grandmother. By the way, she passed away last June 26, 1992. So it has been a very long time. First, as to coverage or alin ang sakop ng Amnesty Act na ito. Una ay ang mga naiwang ari-arian ng mga taong namatay bago ang May 31, 2022 or sa araw mismo na ito. Before the extension, the amnesty only applied to estates of those who died on or before December 31, 2017. So good news to everyone because they have also expanded the coverage for the availment of the estate tax amnesty. So it is available for those with or without assessment duly issued or meron na kayong assessment or wala pa galing sa BIR or halimbawa ay hindi ninyo natapos ang pag-process pero na-assess na kayo sa kung magkano ang babayarang taxes. So, yung iba po kasi nakapag-submit na dati na requirements sa BIR pero hindi pa na kumpleto ang proseso, na-assess na or hindi pa nabayaran as of May 31, 2022. So, ito na ang chance nila para matapos ang whole process without the multa or the penalties and interests. So, if any of the foregoing applies to you or sa sitwasyon po ninyo, tandaan yung date on or before May 31, 2022, yung date of death ng inyong mahal sa buhay na hindi pa nabayaran yung estate tax. Where to file your estate tax return? So in the Revenue District Office having jurisdiction over the place of residence of the deceased at the time of death. So kung saan siya resident noong panahon na namatay siya, noong araw na namatay siya, you will need a certificate of residency from the barangay in order to establish this. So, to get you started, these are the things that you will need to do. Gather all the necessary documents and make sure that they are correct and complete. So I did a research before I started the process of settling my Lola's estate tax liabilities. So first of all, you can find a list online, a complete list online, but overall or in general, these are the things that I prepared. So first is the extrajudicial settlement of estate. This document is prepared by a lawyer. Ito ang dokumento kung saan nakasaad ang pangalan ng namatay at kung kailan siya namatay, ang pangalan ng mga naiwang heirs or tagapagmana at ang lahat ng mga ari-arian niya na naiwan at deklarasyon na ito ay paghahati-hatian ng mga tagapagmana niya. Again, abogado po ang magpe-prepare or gagawa ng extrajudicial settlement of estate at lahat po ng tagapagmana ay required na mag-appear before the notary public para po ito ay manotaryuhan. Pipirma po silang lahat doon sa dokumento, doon sa extrajudicial settlement of estate, personally na pipirma unless hindi na kakayanin na magpirma, pwede po yung thumb mark. So, meron pong guidelines ang mga notaries public kung paano po yung pag-sign ng document for those who are not physically able to, in case po na may ganoon. So, go to the lawyer and you tell them, you let them know that you need to execute an extrajudicial settlement of estate. Another thing po is you will need a certified true copy of the death certificate of the deceased. So, this is issued po by the Philippine Statistics Authority and certified true copy by the local civil registrar. So, meron din po silang dry seal na required in order to authenticate the certified true copy of the death certificate. So, you will also need certified true copy of the titles of the real estate properties if ang naiwang mga ari-arian ay real property kagaya ng lupa, bahay, or condo. If the deceased has lupain, so a vicinity map for each property is also required. In my experience, I had to submit 2 vicinity maps dahil dalawa po yung lupa na nasa pangalan ng lola ko, and each vicinity map costs 1,500 pesos each, which I requested from the city assessor's office. Another document is the tax declaration of real property. For every real property owned by the deceased, a tax declaration is needed to be included. You may go to the municipal assessor's office to get a copy. In my hometown, it costs 50 pesos per copy. You will also need to submit a certificate of no improvement on real property if, for example, the property is an agricultural land and no house is built thereon, or its equivalent, the certificate with improvement stating that the property has improvements or may itinayo sa lupa. So if a deceased has bank deposit, bank certification has to be submitted stating the balance of the account at the time of death. At ang photocopy ng passbook ay kailangan din po if available. And you will need a special power of attorney or SPA. This is the document stating the authority of the person transacting on behalf of the heirs. Kung representative lang ng mga heirs or isa sa mga heirs ang magpaprocess ng estate tax, kailangan ang dokumentong ito. So, valid government IDs of the heirs and yung representative shall be attached to the special power of attorney. For the processing of the estate tax return, kailangan nyo po ng TIN and valid government ID ng mga heirs at ng representative. Kailangan din po ng TIN ng taong namatay. Nung buhay pa siya, kung meron siyang TIN, pwede po itong gamitin. Pero kung wala po, pwede naman pong mag-apply or magpa-register ng TIN sa pangalan ng estate. So you will have a TIN for the estate of and the name ng taong namatay. For example, estate of Juan de la Cruz. So these were the documents that I needed to prepare, except for the bank certificate because my grandmother did not have a bank account at the time of her death. So, after gathering these documents, you will need to proceed to the BIR and line up at the audit lane. I highly suggest for you to go as early as possible because they often limit the number of transactions in a day. The audit officer will assess your documents if they are correct and complete and will give you further instructions. Do not be discouraged if they ask you for additional documents, if ever. In my personal experience, I had to go back a few times before they finally accepted my submission. So, beforehand, para po makumpleto na ninyo, you may go to the Revenue District Office and manghingi po kayo ng list ng required nila for the settlement of estate tax, for the availment of estate tax amnesty. Because they might have updates on the list of requirements, especially considering the extension and the other amendments introduced to the Estate Tax Amnesty Act. A key takeaway is that patience and diligence will help you finish the process. So remember to organize your documents in order based on their list of requirements. During my first attempt to submit, they gave me a list of requirements and instructed me to arrange the documents and create a docket. A docket is where you arrange the documents in order, puncture yung mga documents and lagyan ng fastener. So they will ask you to submit multiple copies of the requirements. I submitted 3 copies of all original and certified true copies of the above mentioned documents. So they will give you further instructions on when to come back. Pag kompleto na ang requirements, a revenue officer will assess the tax. Under the said act, so the real estate taxes is either the rate of 6% for the taxable estate or a minimum of 5,000 pesos to be determined by the tax officer. So at this point, you will know kung magkano ang estate tax na babayaran. So you will also fill out the tax amnesty return and it will have to be approved or signed by the officer in charge, and you will need to bring it to the authorized agent bank for purposes of payment of the estate taxes. So always look for that list of authorized agent banks. Nakapost po yan sa mga BIR offices because not all banks are authorized agent banks by the BIR. So taxpayers may now settle the due taxes through the authorized agent bank or, if allowed, with the revenue district officer, whichever applies. Alright, so there you have it. Thank you so much for watching and listening to my personal experience. Until next time, have a nice day. Bye!